Finally, I made my way into the dream house. In the pandemic, they didn't close the tennis courts in Los Angeles. So every day you could go there, small crowds went there. I mean, 4 people to play doubles, and sometimes their friends. It became a place where people could go and feel safe. But I was dreaming about a house on the other side of the city, in Pacific Palisades, the house that Thomas Mann built and moved into in 1942. I was reading about it. I was reading architectural accounts of it. I was reading accounts of each object that went into the making of that house, the tiles, the hinges, the different dimensions of rooms. I was looking at photographs of the house, and more than anything, I was imagining the house. I was imagining this mid-century California house, all painted white, glistening in the sun, with 7 palm trees in the extensive gardens, with a veranda upstairs, and with, the most important thing, a shadowy study. A study that did not have floor-to-ceiling windows, as other places in the house did. That was away from the rest of the house. But when Mann lived there, he had his own staircase from just outside the study, going up to his own bedrooms, everyone's dream. And in that room, he wrote Doktor Faustus. In my room, I wrote a novel called The Magician Imagining, Thomas Mann, writing Doktor Faustus in the other part of the city. One night I thought of him alone. I dreamed him up alone, listening to Schoenberg, listening to Transfigured Night, alone in that house in Pacific Palisades and San Remo Drive. And I imagined him thinking about the Californian night itself, the night they were now in exile from, him and Schoenberg in the city at the same time, me in the city years afterwards, imagining this. And so, as the pandemic came to an end, I went to the house, and I went into the spaces that Thomas Mann and his wife had wanted, and that the architect J.R. Davidson had designed for them. And I saw the rooms. And in the corner of the living room is the baby grand piano the Manns had owned, which went back to Europe with him, and has been recently sent back to Los Angeles. And in the study, the collected works of Goethe, annotated by Thomas Mann in his own hand, that he had brought with him from Munich, first to Switzerland, then to Princeton, and then to Pacific Palisades, then to a library, and now back to Pacific Palisades. So that all that business of dreaming, the pandemic spent dreaming, writing poems, dreaming of home, dreaming of Ireland, dreaming of Spain, dreaming of anywhere you could go that you weren't allowed to go in the pandemic, dreaming of the cinema, dreaming of the theatre, dreaming of galleries, and dreaming of this house in San Remo Drive. And eventually I opened the door, and there it is, the space that he made, where his family gathered. And then just off that, closed the door, opened the door into the study, into the room where he made that masterpiece, Doktor Faustus, where he imagined in turn a place he could not go to in those years, which was Germany, but a place where, of course, he lived because the language was his, the culture was his, and he dreamed Germany into being, and I dreamed him into being. And now I'm standing in the room, finally, where he was, the room that was his, the room that is now the one I'm standing in.